Yeah, it should be live. Let's see. Alright. Sorry about the lack of anything right now. This is just me waiting on people. Testing. Okay, that works. Hmm. As we sit here and wait. Yep. There's really not that much to talk about, which is great. Did I say great? Yeah. I wonder who will show up. Absolutely nobody. Show up and this will be like that stream again. Yep. Still got 4 minutes to go. Wow, that's sad. Just sitting. I'm waiting. Yep. Just sitting in waiting for the 8 o'clock hour. Mm-hmm. Huh. Well, it's 8 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to make a little point here right now. So, for everyone who wants to know about this right now, it's 8 o'clock and we're live. I'm going to fill an hour of content here. I don't know how I'm going to do it, considering the thing I have to talk about is about 30 minutes, but I'm going to do it. So, if we have to resort to playing Jackbox games, I'm going to do that. If we have to resort to me going on a random ramble about arena football teams, I'm down for it. Because frankly, I'm bored. So yeah, that's what you're gonna get out of this thing. But I think we should not get those things mixed up. As I say, hello and welcome to this episode. My name is Ben Schluter, and welcome to episode 17 of Goal to Go Live. Yeah, somehow we've done 17 of these episodes. I don't know how I've not lost my mind by now. Oh wait, I think I've already done that. Anyway, if you didn't know about this, over the weekend, I released this cool video on a weird arena football moment from the year 2018. Yep, because apparently having to burp during a stream is going to be great. We're off to a flying start, aren't we? Anyway, so yeah, there's been some stuff that's happened. Let's just start with a yawn. Great. Yeah. There's been some stuff that has happened. What has happened? Well, we got some big news before the stream. That LSU's hired a new head baseball coach. His name? Jay Johnson. He's the former head coach at Arizona who made the College World Series this year. They were the highest scoring team in baseball, so... Okay, maybe they're good. Or maybe he can bring a good hitting coach. Really good. Now, Jay Johnson has zero connections to the program. Just none. Absolutely zero. He's got no real connections to anything LSU. He's been a West Coast guy his entire career. So, yeah. But hey, Arizona won the Pac-12 championship. They always do a regular season. They never do a postseason because, they're lame that way. And yes. Apologies. Anyway, yeah, so they mentioned that it had narrowed down to 3 guys earlier today, with Notre Dame's head coach and, this is why you don't delete things, Ben. East Carolina's head coach also being on the short list, but they made the announcement today. Jay Johnson's going to be the new head coach. I mean, he's got me excited. He's definitely a pretty good coach. We've seen it from the fact that, Arizona was really good this year. And, heck, he led his team to a College World Series runner-up a few years back when they lost to Coastal Carolina. Overall, damn good. Damn good. I like the hire. It's better than another guy that was floated around. Really, Pat Casey? Really, just... Whew! But that's a separate issue. Excuse me. About the yawns. Yes. So up next. Speaking of college baseball, let's get into that College World Series talk. Yes, that's right. College World Series has been going on. There was supposed to be a game played right now, but, Omaha weather has decided not to cooperate with that and has caused a rain delay of sorts. And by of sorts, I mean has caused a rain delay. So, let's recap the games themselves, of which I've watched 0 because I don't have cable. Yeah, this has been fun, hasn't it? We'll rectify that situation when it comes down to the year. Yeah. And hopefully I can rectify the situation I'm currently in right now of not having tickets to the LSU-UCLA game because I need to get to that. But, that's a separate thing. Here's what isn't a separate thing, the College World Series. Let's start with the first game. So remember how I'm really good at making predictions? NC State beat Stanford 10-4 because I'm an idiot. Yep. Then Vandy beat Arizona 7-6 in 12 innings. Then UVA actually beat Tennessee 6-0. Then Mississippi State beat Texas. Then in the first elimination game, this was played on the third day of the tournament. Stanford eliminated Arizona 14-5. Now NC State played Vanderbilt in a game that was a real pitcher's duel. You want to talk about pitcher's duel, though. Mississippi State actually, I think Mississippi State and Texas broke the, single game record for most strikeouts. I know that Mississippi State broke the record for most strikeouts by a team. I think they had 21. Which is a lot. But no, Jack Leiter for Vanderbilt, he did really well. He had 8 innings. Gave up 1 earned run, had a bunch of strikeouts. That 1 earned run was the literal only run of the game. It was a solo homer, ended 1-0. So that ended up going well for Vandy. So Vandy's on the ropes. Then, you had it on the next day. Oh, look at Tennessee going out 0-2. Funny how that works. But we didn't hire Tony Vitello, so I guess we don't get to get back at him. But then again, we weren't even trying to hire him. So I guess we don't get back. So we do get back at him by saying, we didn't even care about your coach. We wanted this guy. We wanted the coach of the other team eliminated in 2 games. That wasn't a good point. Damn it. Yeah. So yeah. Texas beat them 8-4. Then, Mississippi State playing Virginia was incredible. So, Mississippi State was down 4-0 coming into the top of the 8th inning. They had been hitless. They scored 6 runs and they won 6-5. Yeah, that makes sense. And then last night, Vanderbilt beat Stanford and knocked them out 6-5 on a walk-off wild pitch. Kinda crazy. Apologies, I keep having to yawn for some reason. It happens sometimes. I just didn't expect it to happen, during the middle of a stream. Because, of course, the most likely time to have good things happen is in the middle of live streaming. It's gonna be fun seeing me fill an hour with something good. Okay, let's talk about some NFL news. Something came out just today about the NFL. They have amended their uniform policies, and starting in 2022, all teams will be able to use an alternate helmet color for throwback uniforms or for anything like the Color Rush uniforms, etc., etc. And they have to submit the proposal they want to use by July 31st is what the memo said. So that'll be interesting to see like the Kelly Green for the Eagles or the creamsicle uniforms for the Bucks or the White Tiger for the Bengals and their Color Rush, which is awesome. I don't know why they got rid of this. This is seriously stupid. I don't know why this had to be a thing. Honestly, it's like, oh, they want everyone to have the same helmet all the time because it's safer. And I'm like, what? Just make the same helmet. Just make the same helmet. At this point, it's a drinking game of how many times I yawn. Take a sip, you'll die at the end of it. Yeah, that's fun. Gosh, this is sad that I only have 2 things to talk about. It was really sad. It's actually really sad that I only have 2 bits of news because I didn't want to talk about Major League Baseball, so we'll talk about that. Genuinely, I thought there'd be more people here. That would have sparked a conversation. This is what happens when you write a podcast and you don't realize that, wait, you also have to record this. Thinking out loud's kind of funny. And this is the same riveting content you can get on the recorded podcast, because apparently I decided to do the same thing. I just place it in a different location. Literally, I record from, 5 feet away. It's weird that way. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about something important. The NCAA. The NCAA is an organization. We've, I think, established that before. The NCAA isn't just any type of organization. That's another yawn. They're an organization with a lot of, with a lot of controversy, you might say. Yeah. Here's the thing. So, they just had a court case. Court ruling, the Supreme Court in Alston, the NCAA. And, they get their asses handed to them. They lost 9-0. Unanimous decisions are very rare these days. I seriously don't know what's going on with me. Here's what I do know. Couldn't be any worse than what's happened to the NCAA. Well, probably could be. But, basically the NCAA can't put as many limitations on education-related benefits, so stuff like paid internships, post-grad scholarships, things a normal student would get. Yeah, they can't limit those as much. Let's get into some of the nitty-gritty stuff, because there's also some, stuff about the things that they don't like it, because they're not immune to antitrust suits. like literally every other sports league except for Major League Baseball, and that's thanks to some court cases in the 1950s. So basically, in the 1950s, there were these three major court cases, one of which I actually read about, which was some dude versus NFL. I didn't feel the need to write it down because I knew that it happened it was 1957 was the year of it, and basically, I think it's Radovich versus NFL, the NFL, excuse me. Basically, the Supreme Court said, so we really didn't do with that whole 1922 ruling. So in 1922, the Supreme Court, for some inexplicable reason, gave an antitrust exemption to Major League Baseball because they ruled that the interstate hold on, let me do this in my head real quick. The interstate commerce, that was the word we were looking for, was an incidental part of the business. Yeah, that's so stupid. And the Supreme Court was like, you're not allowed to do that. That's why the NFL lost the USFL suit, though it was a Pyrrhic victory. Or a Pyrrhic victory. I don't know how to pronounce that. Someone please explain to me what the hell I'm supposed to do with that. I don't speak ancient Greek. I don't believe most people do. It's what one might call a dead language. Anyway, that's literally not important. What is important is the fact that, that antitrust exemption thing was something that the NCAA was kind of banking on for a long time. Let me explain. So, yeah, they used to coast by on the premise that they were not a commercial market, the kind, that's targeted by antitrust laws. They argued they were an amateur market. Bravo Sierra to that. Yeah, and, this one, if you know of, so I would go and get it. However, I'm A, too lazy, and B, that would be so stupid you cannot see me. I own NCAA Basketball 10, which was the game, or 09. Damn it, this isn't helping me. See, it's going to be boring to you, and it's going to be like dead air, but also I can look for it because I own the game that was at O'Bannon. Anyway, let's not talk about that. I'm really doing a number here. What instead we'll talk about is the fact that there was the O'Bannon v. NCAA case, which is the one that got the video games. The video game case. And basically, that case kind of set the precedent, or at least that precedent in there, that was reaffirmed here. And that's now legal precedent for the entire country. Because we were operating under three separate legal precedents, basically. One on, the 3rd Circuit, one in the 7th, one in the 9th. That's not very good. The Supreme Court said, okay, so we're going to simplify this by saying you're fucked. Because it's that one is the one they didn't want. Because the other two really helped them. Now, the second one, I haven't talked about yet, because it got struck down hard, and it's a separate topic. So, yeah. Basically, in that case, the NCAA should have some room when it comes to handling amateurism, but, not all of it. You can have a no Lamborghinis rule, which you'll enforce about as well as you are right now. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, now they gotta go through a full rule of reason analysis in every other lawsuit. Oh, did I mention this just made the NCAA's lawsuits more costly? Because they have to prove that, in order to do this, there's this rule of reason analysis, and that's a three-step thing. The NCAA is having to prove 2 steps of it. And they spent $73 million on this case, by the way, and lost. Yeah. Anyway. Yes. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked by the everything else going on with me because I got nothing going on up there. Yeah. So, here's the thing. So, it's more costly. Also, it said in there that, like, the NCAA had a definition of amateur and amateurism in the year never. So, yeah, it's never really defined it. It keeps changing and changing and changing and changing it. One thing I didn't know was that in 1974, the NCAA changed their rules allowing a pro athlete to play college sports as long as they play a sport they are not or have never been professional in. So you know how, like, Kyler Murray, he's a pro baseball player in the sense that he got money to play it. He got his signing bonus. Yeah, he could play football because of this. I think that kind of destroys amateurism or amateur athletics, but, you know, that's just my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer or in any way smart. Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. By the way, Neil Gorsuch, he wrote the opinion. He called out the NCAA's arguments that courts should rule in their favor, in the NCAA's favor, on these matters due to a part in the case NCAA v. Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma, excuse me. So if you don't know what that is, what it is one of the most fundamental cases in all of media law. So when I have to take that class, I'm going to have to learn about it. But basically, it's the reason you have college football on your TVs, because the NCAA had a monopoly over it, and the University of Oklahoma was not having that shit. They wanted to have their own TV deal. NCAA sued them. NCAA lost. NCAA lost it. However, there's this line, this passage in this little thing. I'm going to read it to you in full. The NCAA plays a critical role in the maintenance of a revered tradition of amateurism in college sports. Moving microphone right now. There can be no question but that it needs ample latitude to play that role, or that the preservation of the student athlete in higher education adds richness and diversity to intercollegiate athletics and is entirely consistent with the goals of the Sherman Act. Now let me read you what Gorsuch had to say about that, and this is the interpretation of the court. Once more, this is not the first thing he mentioned. These were certain bullet points that I wanted to mention. Once more, we cannot agree. Board of Regents may suggest that courts should take care when asserting the NCAA's restraints on student-athlete compensation sensitive to their pro-competitive possibilities. But these remarks do not suggest that courts must reflexively reject all challenges to the NCAA's compensation restrictions. Breathe. Student-athlete compensation rules were not even at issue in Board of Regents. Like I said, it was about TV. And the court made it clear it was only assuming the reasonableness of the NCAA's restrictions. Quote, it is reasonable to assume that most of the regulatory controls of the NCAA are justifiable means of fostering competition among amateur athletic teams and are therefore pro-competitive, unquote. Accordingly, the court simply did not have occasion to declare, nor did it declare, the NCAA's compensation restrictions pro-competitive both in 1984 and forevermore. Yeah, it just utterly demolished one of the NCAA's most important defenses. Here's the problem with that. Of 35 cases that cited Board of Regents that also had the NCAA as either a plaintiff or a defendant, the NCAA won 27 of those. That's a stupidly high win rate. Yeah. Now, then, there was that whole thing, which basically said it was reaffirming the lower court's ruling. Because that's what it did. Then Brett Kavanaugh, a person I generally despise, decided to write the one thing that I have actually agreed with him on. So I guess we have that. Yeah, because he wrote the scathing thing. Now, it's not legal precedent. It is the concurring opinion, but it's basically saying, hey, I really wanted to say something because, like, fuck you guys. Because that's what he's saying. He is challenging someone to bring another thing to the court. because he wants it. He wants to rip the NCAA limb from limb. Here's a full quote from this guy, because frankly, it is beautiful. The NCAA couches its arguments for not paying student athletes in innocuous labels, but the labels cannot disguise the reality. The NCAA's business model would be flatly illegal in any other industry in America. All of the restaurants in a region cannot come together to cut cooks' wages on the theory that customers prefer to eat food from low-paid cooks. Law firms cannot conspire to cabin lawyers' salaries in the name of providing legal services out of a love of the law. Hospitals cannot agree to cap nurses' income in order to create a purer form of helping the sick. News organizations cannot join forces to curtail pay to reporters to preserve a tradition of public-minded journalism. I'm just going to stop right there by saying I thought them cutting... I was like, wait, that wasn't their reason for cutting the salaries to basically nothing for journalists? I just don't even... Okay, anyway. Movie studios cannot collude to slash benefits to camera crews to kindle a spirit of amateurism in Hollywood. Here's another part of that. That ends that part. But businesses like the NCAA cannot avoid the consequences of price-fixing labor by incorporating price-fixed labor into the definition of the product. Or in layman's terms, your bullshit needs to stop. Because you have, no standing. This is his opinion. He also brings in some pretty important questions. How would paying greater compensation to student athletes affect non-revenue-raising sports? Could student athletes in some sports, but not others, receive compensation? How would any compensation regime comply with Title IX? Which has been one of my biggest questions, because genuinely I don't know the answer to it. Is there any way to do it? To find that out? And I genuinely don't know if the answer to that is yes. If paying student athletes requires something like a salary cap in some sports in order to preserve competitive balance, how would that cap be administered? And finally, and given that there are now about 180,000 D1 student athletes, what is a financially sustainable way of fairly compensating some or all of those student athletes? That's a good question. You know what? I gotta say, taking a drink there has been great. Also, I don't know why my throat's already hurting. It's only 25 minutes in. It's funny how I'm not like this when, I'm not talking into a mic. That might actually be it. Either way, here are my final thoughts on the thing. And yeah, we're only halfway into this. Fun. Final thoughts. This didn't destroy the NCAA at all. This just clarified everything, told the NCAA that they could not be so damn restrictive with one specific thing. That being said, it flung open the door to many lawsuits, okay? Ones that have now become more expensive thanks to a required rule of reason analysis, because, money. I mean, look, it's more expensive now. So, yeah. And here's the thing. And just my genuine opinion, I think NIL, name, image, and likeness, is going to be what makes or breaks the NCAA. And they have zero plan for it right now. Okay, currently it's looking like it's going to break them. They ain't got no plan, alrighty? The NCAA is trying to have a thing in place for July 1st. No. It's apparently more restrictive than the bills that go into effect on the same day. Florida, the University of Florida, just put in some new name, image, and likeness restrictions. And they're more restrictive than the bill that's about to be in effect. By the way, California is actually trying to get their bill moved up to September 1st. Also, there was a fervor in the Ohio State Senate today. I need to double check and see what's going on with that. Because it was in the middle of happening. And, where is it? Where is it? Oh, by the way, I forgot about this. Trey Turner got signed. The Steelers signed Trey Turner, and they waived. They waived another guard. That guard's name is David DeCastro. Yes. And I'm looking. Excuse me. Okay. Wow. So, that was quick. So, Ohio's House. So, okay. This just happened today, and this was an hour ago that this finally broke, I think. So Ohio has just passed another one of these stupid transgender athlete bills. So great, now I have to talk about this. Okay, look, these bills are all performative. Louisiana's tried to pass one. I don't think the governor's signed it. I think he's going to veto it. I think he's vetoed it. And they're basically banning transgender girls from women's sports because it's supposed to preserve the integrity, which it doesn't, and just trying to say it does is bullshit. Now, they tacked it on to the NIL bill. That's the thing. So let me read through Jessie Balmert. She's a journalist. So Representative, I don't know any of these people's names. I don't care about these people's names. So Representative Ginter had to suspend rules with a 2/3 vote to offer an amendment. The amendment, which was to remove the emergency clause, wasn't filed within 2 hours. So that was the rule he was trying to suspend. It failed. Also expecting an amendment, which was filed more than 2 hours ago, to add the bill banning transgender athletes from girls and women's sports that hasn't been offered yet. The emergency clause was removed from the NIL bill, meaning it wouldn't take effect immediately. So that's another thing. This bill isn't going to take effect on July 1st. So Representative Gina Powell, she was offering the amendment. Democrats were pounding on desks and yelling "point of order," which I think is hilarious because do you really think that's going to work here? Representative Skindle is yelling "unfair." Powell is now continuing. "We are just trying to uphold the integrity of women's sports. Like many of you, I have fought for women's equality all my life, and now I am continuing to fight for it today," said Representative Gene Schmidt, a Republican out of Loveland, who argued that menstruation hampered female athletes' abilities. Jesus Christ, did you really... I'm sorry, I have to stop right there. Someone argued that in an actual Senate, and it worked because people are actually the worst. Sorry, the amendment was just added. Yep. The cruelty truly is the point. Amelia Sykes is the person who said that. And the bill passed. It headed to the Senate. So it's now heading to the Senate. So it should be noted, this thing hasn't passed yet. So the Senate can review it. Now, I don't know about the Ohio Senate, but if it's controlled by Republicans, it's getting passed this way. A tweet from Reddit College Basketball. What if basketball was ham? A thought for all of us. Oh, did I forget something? Yes, I did. I forgot that I was going to mention something else. The NCAA says they want to have something in place for July 1st. They ain't going to have it in place. It's not going to work. They have a boatload of problems they weren't ready for. They made the foolish mistake of asking Congress to do anything. What crazy fantasy world do you live in where Congress does things? Come on, man. You're insane. Sorry about that. But yeah. That was a thing that happened. Now, what do I talk about? Oh, I know. So, they've already started doing that whole sticky stuff thingy. It's gotten out of hand. Or more like out of cap. Oh, you see, because Max Scherzer was actually asked in the middle of an inning to take off, for an inspection, because Joe Girardi, famously great person, Joe Girardi, asked for it after Scherzer was seen taking off his cap and touching his head. It was to get sweat on the ball. It was to get sweat so he could mix it with rosin so that he could get a grip on the ball because he felt like he was about to hit someone in the face with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Now, if you didn't know this, that's already happened this year to someone. It's already happened this year to someone. 95-mile-an-hour fastball to the face. It's happened this year. Now, if someone had grip on the ball, this wouldn't happen. Spider tack was stupid because that shit gave you too much spin rate. And it caused the ball to get away from people. However, sweat and rosin, it's normal. Yep. So, it is 8:33. I just mentioned that whole thing. A guy from the Louisville Bats of the minor leagues, he actually got tossed from a game. Yeah. It's been a thing. I'd now like to take you on an adventure. Oh, hi Steeler fan. My friends at one point were talking about obscure states and my friends were talking about what's an obscure state and they mentioned Rhode Island. Would you agree Rhode Island is an obscure state? I 100% agree. Well, if you've not been here, you've missed everything. Don't worry, I had nothing to talk about besides the NCAA case. But now, because I made a promise. I was going to fill an hour tonight. So I figured I might as well go through a bunch of research I did on an obscure indoor football team because someone decided to throw me that bone and stuff. Where did it go? So, ladies and gentlemen, 4 facts about the 2000 Greensboro Prowlers of Arena Football 2. I don't think you can understand how bad this team is until you realize this was an indoor football team that played 16 games. So, this team went 3-13. I don't know how they did it. They managed to score 407 points. That's averaging an abysmal 25.4 points per game in an indoor league. The second worst scoring team was Charleston, the Swamp Foxes. They had 585 points, so that's 10 points per game higher. But how bad is this? It's the worst in the history of Arena Football 2, which always had 16-game seasons. And that means it's worse than the 2 0-16 teams that this league had. In 2001, the Columbus War Dogs became the first professional football team to ever go 0-16. They scored 418 points. The Mobile Wizards, in 2002, they went 0-16. They scored 458 points. So, yeah, that's bad. Now, those 3 wins, if you want to know who those wins came against, you had a win over Roanoke. Roanoke was the worst team in the league that year, if we're talking about from, tiebreaker perspective, because they went 3-13, but had a loss to the Prowlers. They had a 43-40 win, their final game, over the Arkansas Twisters. That team went 7-9. Oh, and then they had a random-ass 44-20 win over Norfolk, a team that went 10-6, made the playoffs, and won a playoff game. I don't know how the hell they did it, but they did it. So, yeah. They lost their opening game 18-7. This is an indoor football league. It's one of the lowest scoring games in the history of AF2, which ran from 2000 to 2009. This was the first season of it. The lowest scoring game in AF2 history was a 7-7 tie. I don't know how they did that. Now, they had the worst loss in the history of Arena Football and Arena Football 2. They lost to the eventual undefeated champion Quad City Steamwheelers 103-3 at home. It probably wasn't necessarily, well, in 2000, you have to understand. So, like, the early days of the Arena Football League, that wasn't uncommon necessarily. There was, in fact, a game that ended 15-14 in the 1980s. The lowest scoring game in Arena Football League history was a 16-12 game in the 1980s. Because in the 1980s, the game had just come around and it was kind of weird. But 18-7 is very rare. 18-7 is a very low score. Like, it was on the list of... I didn't realize. Trust me, most people don't. I actually did the research. Because Arena... By the way, I got all this information from arenafan.com. It's got a comprehensive list of every Arena Football game and Arena Football 2 game, and it has full box scores, I think, for every Arena Football League game. Which is just insane. It's the best repertoire online if you want to find information about that league. And Arena Football 2, because frankly, I don't think anywhere else is anything remotely comprehensive about that league. Well, you would assume so, and you'd be right. But high usually means in about the 40s or the 50s. 40s or the 50s is like the lower end, and you're looking at like 50s, 60s, 70s. 80s are rare, 90s are almost impossible, and yes, this was the one of two times, by the way. There was a second game that ended with 100 points scored, but that was a 102-60-something game. It was like 102-63. So it's like, it could be worse. You could lose by literally 100 points. But guess what? The Prowlers didn't just lose by 100 points. No, they had multiple 50-point losses. Yeah, they were a true punching bag. Their total point differential was negative 424, which is nothing compared to the fact that the War Dogs in 2001, they gave up 900 points. Yeah, they had a point differential of like minus 500. It was terrible. What'd you expect? They went 0-16. 0-16 teams aren't good. And by the way, Quad Cities in the regular season scored over 1,000 points. Yes, it did help that one of those games was 103-3. But here's the thing. They had 4 straight weeks where they lost by 50 points. And then they had a 5th game. So that Quad City game was the 3rd in a row. They started with a 63-9 loss at Tennessee Valley, then a 67-7 loss at home against Augusta, then that 103-3 game at home, then they lost 88-33 at Arkansas. And then finally they had a later game where they lost 87-21. They were god-awful, to say the least. Arena football is the greatest and most amazing sport in the history of ever. And the fact that there is no league is a sad tragedy. There's a reason why I made a video on it. There's a reason why... You know what was great about it? I can't find the footage of it, but I've seen it. Jay Gruden, you know Jay Gruden, the former head coach in Washington, he was an Arena Football legend. If you've seen the clip of Arena Bowl 10, which was Jay Gruden versus Kurt Warner in the battle of the 2 greatest quarterbacks in the history of the league. And Jay Gruden was a legend for the Tampa Bay Storm. Now, if you don't know about this, Tampa Bay and Orlando had a huge rivalry. It's called the War on I-4, which has now become the name of the rivalry between the two colleges, the college football teams in the state, USF, which is located in Tampa, and UCF, which is located in Orlando. And so, at one point, Jay Gruden became the head coach for the Prowlers, the Orlando Prowlers, or Predators. And that was fine and all, but then he came out of retirement and became their quarterback. Now, by this point, the Storm had retired his number. And the night on which he made his return to Tampa Bay, they unretired his number, and they had the banner, I think, crash to the ground. I've seen the clip. It's absolutely brutal. And it's one of the most insane things I've ever seen. They unretired his number because he went to their rival. I also think that is the exact type of petty shit I want in my rivalries. Okay? That's the type of petty shit I like to see in my rivalries. But it's a rare circumstance because he'd been out of the league for a little bit. I'm gonna look this up actually because it's a really insane story. I think it's on his wiki page. Oh wow, he was the offensive coordinator last year for the Jaguars. That's funny. But yeah, he was with the Tampa Bay Storm until 96. Then, in 2002, he became a quarterback for the Orlando Predators again. Now, by that point, he had actually been in coaching. He was the offensive coordinator with the Nashville Cats. He was actually an offensive assistant with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2002 to 2008 while he was still playing with the Predators. That's actually kind of crazy. Yeah. By the way, if you want to know what his stats were in the Arena Football League, he had a 59.8% 59.8% completion percentage. He threw for 21,479 yards. He had 397 touchdowns to 99 interceptions, and he had 5 rushing TDs. Yeah. It's you want to know what's crazy? Arena. You want to talk about arena football records? They are some of the greatest records in the history of ever. So let's look at some of these. What is the single game passing yardage record? It's 479. Okay, it's not that many. The single season passing yardage record is 5,870. That was in 2012, which was an 18-game season. At one point, arena football went to an 18-game season. So, you have to realize that the arena football leagues had multiple types of seasons. They went from 4 to They went consistently at 14, then they went to 16, and then 18. It's weird. But anyway, the career passing yardage leader is Aaron Garcia. He had 62,159. Which, by the way, second place all time is at 47,896. It's an absolutely incredible jump. But let's look at the passing TDs records, because frankly, they're insane. So, the record for most passing TDs in a game is 12. And it's a tie between Tommy Grady and Kyle Rowley. Yep. Both done, by the way, in the same season in 2012. And then there's a humongous bajillion-way tie for 11. For third with 11. Clint Dolezal had 11 touchdowns in 3 separate games. Okay. The single season passing TDs record? Tommy Grady with 142. Someone on YouTube put together a compilation of it. I have seen it. It's insane. 142 touchdown passes. Second place is Nick Davila with 127. It's not even close. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that, it was an 18-game season. I mean, Aaron Garcia had the same thing. He's number 4. He's got 118. What's the single career passing TDs record? It's Aaron Garcia with 1,336. Again, second place isn't anywhere close. Now, it should be noted, Aaron Garcia played from 1995 to 2014. So, he had a lot of time to amass this. Let's think. What's the single game interceptions record? It's 6 by 2 guys. Shedrick Bonner and Brian. I hate my life so much. This is going to be a botch job and a half. So I'm just going to put it in the chat because frankly, I'm never going to pronounce this in my life. Zibdnewski. That's his last name, people. I mean, if you want to look at the career TDs, receiving TDs, it's Damian Harrell with 357. I mean, actually, I got to look at the team records because frankly, yeah. They always do averages and they never do the full thing. And I'm looking for like yards, but whatever. But yeah. Things are insane. Things are just insane with arena football scores. Because, like in the history of the Arena Football League, the highest score by a losing team is 82 points. They lost 83 to 82. It's pretty sad. The most points by a winning team in Arena Football League, so the big one. Because, it makes sense. The Arena Football League having a minor league. Because, in a league where the average salary is $500 per game, we need to make a league with an average salary of $100 per game. I'm not even kidding you. That's what it was. It was like $100, $200 a game. It's stupid. Still, the most points scored in a game, 99. That was by the New York Dragons in 2001 against the Carolina Cobras in a 99 to 68 game. Yep. And then the fewest points scored is 0. It happened once, 50 to 0 loss by the San Antonio Force. They lost 50 to 0 to the Orlando Predators. Wonder what's going on. Oh, that's good. That's good. Anyway, yeah. There have also been teams to score 3 points. The fewest points ever scored by a winning team is 15. Denver Dynamite did it in 89. Should be noted that was 89. The lowest scoring game was actually in 1990. That was the 16 to 12 game. Yep. The New Orleans Knight were involved in one of these games. They lost to the Rattlers 23 to 15. The New Orleans Knight have a dubious distinction, of course, because in 1992 they went 0-10. By the way, they played at the Superdome. It was christened lowest non-shutout score. There was no shutout. Um, the shutout score was nothing. Like 3 points, 3 points, 6 points. That happened 3 times. But yeah, it's not gonna. It's usually one of those weird ones. The Knight are the only team to ever score 8 points in a game. By the way, in an arena football game, exactly 8 points in a 62-8 loss. Cause we were dog shit. We also had Zubaz pants. I seriously advise you to look up early 90s arena football games. The uniforms are god awful. The largest victory in arena football history, for those wondering, was an Albany Firebirds 86-24 victory over the Texas Terror. That's 62 points. Now, the largest away victory was actually a 78-20 victory by the San Jose SaberCats over the Pittsburgh Power. The Pittsburgh Power are infamous for once having fired the entire team at a dinner. They went to dinner in Pittsburgh, and they cut literally every player. Zubaz has a uniform. Yes. Oh, okay, we're gonna do this. Okay, fine. New Orleans Night. No, not nightlife. Night, as in the Arena Football League team. Thank you. Images. Okay, that clearly is gonna help. Okay, that doesn't help matters. It looks... No, it still looks god-awful. It still looks just garbage. Wait a minute, Willie Totten? Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, Willie Totten was Jerry Rice's quarterback in college, so that's like a thing. Geez, that's a choice. Okay, let me show you this. This. Do you see this? That's Zubaz, baby. That was, oh, by the way, they weren't the only ones. That's a choice. You think that's bad. Feast your eyes on Jay Gruden. Oh, but this is no distortion. This is true nightmare. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering, yes, the other team they're playing is the Miami Hooters, because that was a real thing. It was a thing. You know, I still don't understand how someone said, you know what? Think someone else yeah, those pants bad. I mean, Do we have to go into all of the arena football stuff? Because, like, you got the LA Kiss. Wearing Hooters on a helmet is funny to you. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Where is the full, thing for the Los Angeles Kiss? I mean, they look cool, I guess. They're not cool, though. I mean, they're not that cool. Wearing Hooters. Again, imagine having to say, oh, yeah, I play for the Miami Hooters. And not having to bat an eye, because it's the truth. This is the Los Angeles Kiss. They were featured on the AMC reality show Fourth and Loud, which is a thing I literally just said and is real. Let me also look those up, because those are very boring. No, I can't. I mean, it's so boring, though. It's not even worthy of showing. How exaggerated those comparisons were. Yes, the Arena Football League had uniforms, all right. Yeah, like... Oh, this one actually gets me. That's the... This one's actually a really good example of it, as this is the Las Vegas Outlaws versus the, Kiss. But again, yeah, you say it's bad, and it's like, no. Someone decided in the past, Zubaz. That's the Kiss, and I can't even show that because it isn't going to show up. Yeah. Like, arena uniforms are not that bad. Not that bad in comparison. I mean, I'm sorry, NFL uniforms. Nah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I have been sitting here. Lol. Let's see. Charlotte Rage. That one wasn't bad. Gosh, if I had the ability to set up a thing, I'd totally be playing, like... Oh, yeah, Massachusetts Marauders. Because, you know what's an original idea? Oh, yeah, none of this. And that's boring. I want something not. This is not helping matters. How the hell am I not finding Charlotte Rage uniforms? Come on. Okay, it's just green and... I want bad Zubaz. It's 9 o'clock, though, and it's pretty much the end of it here. I got an hour out of this, even if, like, 10 minutes of it was dead air. Yeah, no, when you think they're bad ones, you think you see a bad uniform out there. Just remember, forever, that it could always be Subas. So, that's going to do it for this episode of Goal to Go Live. Hopefully the episode of normal Goal to Go won't be this bad. And by bad, I mean disorganized. Then again, the live stuff, it's supposed to be disorganized. So, if you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at the normal place, capital BEN, capital S, capital L, capital A, capital S, PORTS. Join the Discord server if you haven't already, if you're here and you aren't in there, which is like 0% of you, considering there's one person here. Woohoo! Anyway, yes. So, that's going to do it. So, until next time, I've been Ben Schluter. This has been Goal to Go Live. Hope you have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.